Pamaria whakalofa atu. Welcome to the Daily Examiner. My name is Atliki Lay. Very good to see you all here, or, I think you're all there anyway. Very, very cool. I'm speaking to you from location on Napier, so that's why I've got these different areas here, but really excited to be able to have a bit of a talanoa with you all and have an engagement chat. Without further ado, let me bring in my co-host. Firstly, we've got Liao Tilsley. Liao, how are you doing? Talofa.
Talofa lava, wa mai oi.
Oh, yeah. I can never remember. Sicky. I'm sicky. That's how I'm feeling.
Gosh.
I'm feeling sicky. And we've also got our wonderful man, Puiawai Lili Alai Lima. Talofa to you, brother. Wamai.
Manguia lava whaftai, ia ka talo whātu pa ia mani malu whain whātasi mai, I le afiafi le nei, ia tātou pokalame māsani lava nei, o le Talanoa Sa'o, mai le whainga o le Daily Examiner. Yeah, welcome, warm Pacific salutations to everyone. My name is Pali Fuya Vailili Alailima, and we're together for another episode of Talanoa Sa'o, or Straight Talk.
Awesome. So look, we want to get started, but let's start the proper way, the way that we've got to start. So you know what, Liao, would you be able to start us off in the proper way to get preyed on?
Yes, please, Liao.
Lord, just want to say thank you for bringing us this far. I thank you for your love towards us. I thank you that every day you've already gone before us. And so we come and we just bring our conversations before you. We pray, God, for truth. We pray that it'll be enveloped in love as we speak about it. And we pray, God, that we would all go away from this hour refreshed and knowing that you are in control of everything. We want to thank you. We surrender. We commit our time to you now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, awesome. So, team, it has been quite a busy week. And I think there has been some really big things going on. I think we've got the Dutch election, we've got the RNZ, ABC, CBC controversy going on, which I think is hilarious. I think there is a lot of things going on our plate. Is there anything that you want to sort of start on with discuss? And by the way, just to our audience out there, chuck in your comments and your queries. We will try to bring it into our conversation as we can. We love to do it, and we really do thank you for joining us and engaging in the Talanoa as well. So look, chuck it in, and we'll deal with them as they come up. But team, so any sort of thing that's highlighted on your weeks thus far?
I just want to bring up the Radio NZ the thing with Twitter. I think it's hilarious. Okay, so if you don't know, what Twitter has done is they've put on the particular media, whether they're government-funded media. So they pretty much have put down that Radio NZ, and I'm sure there'll be others that will start to be part of that. Have actually stated that that's what they are, government-funded media, which means that they're obviously not neutral, and also they're threatening now to leave Twitter, which actually will be terrible for them because they will be admitting that that's exactly what they are. So I think it's hilarious. I think it's great that Twitter have done that, and actually, even his interview with that reporter was hilarious too.
Yeah.
It would have been good if we had a little bit of that video, but yeah, just he is just poking the bear in such a funny way. I just think it's hilarious. It's time for us to laugh about this kind of stuff right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do know that the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and I believe it's the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. So exactly as what Liao said, is that Twitter has applied it to, for example, the Chinese and the Russian state media. Well, now they're giving it to exactly where they're giving it to, which is RNZ. RNZ are they are a government. I'm not sure if I'd go so far as say government voice, but they definitely lean towards government. They don't really engage against the government, that's for sure. And they really do work it. It's crack up. And that video that Liao's talking about is hilarious. Is that you've got the the journalist actually talking with Elon, and he's basically asked, what do you think about the increased hate speech? Elon calls it straight up. Okay, give me an example of the hate speech that you are talking about. And the journalist just nearly drops himself because he can't give any example of any hateful. He says it. He says it hateful, and then he sort of double downs a little bit, unknowing that he's about to fall into a bit of a trap that Elon has set, which is to say, I have seen some things. Elon goes immediately, okay, what did you see? What exactly did you see? And the BBC reporter, Chrissy's absolutely right. It's hilarious to see that the BBC reporter could not even bring up one example. Oh, sorry. Am I just doing the white supremacist signal? I apologize.
Yeah, I hope somebody has taken a screenshot of that.
Not one example. Bro, if you gotta bring game. That the progressives are so lazy in their reporting. They got nothing. So I think it's hilarious seeing their own bias, their shocking level bias come up anyway. What are your thoughts, Ifuave?
I just want to say, he said, then you just lied to me. He actually addressed the statement, and he didn't know what to do with it. I mean, it's actually hilarious when you start to deal with the truth. How do you hide from that? How do you hide from
absolutely.
the truth?
I just want to point this out. This is actually what came up from Twitter. So I'm going to read this. This is what came out from Twitter. From RNZ. This is what came out from RNZ in response to that. RNZ's editorial independence is enshrined in our charter and editorial policy. Twitter's own policy defines government-funded media as cases where the government may have, quote mark, may have varying degrees of government involvement over editorial content, close quote, which does not apply to RNZ. Not only is our editorial independence protected by the law, we guard it vigorously. Over the next few days, we will be considering our options. And I'm sorry, but the lockdowns and the narrative around the force feeding of removal of freedoms of speech, freedom of right to choose whether to take a vaccine, all of those freedoms was thoroughly recommended. Not only that, you also had even the Posey Parker, the violence and hatred shown by the trans activists. RNZ was actually a little bit complicit in how they narrated that particular story. So Twitter's right. They're not wrong. What do you think, the Ifuave?
Yeah, sorry about that. Actually, I think this is something that started in the States first, because the American broadcast companies, the stations in America, they were told that they would have to do this blue label thing that shows that they're official or whatever. And so I believe that Elon Musk was actually telling them that they would have to state that they were representing the government in some way, and they were kicking back on that. They said that in fact they got to the point where they were saying that they were going to cancel all of their accounts on Twitter because of that. So this is something that these people are highly sensitive to. I mean, if you have nothing to hide. Then why is it that you make such a big stink about it? And if you're making a big stink about this, then how come you can't understand when people make a big stink about mandates? You're talking about, we have to go through all of this. No, if you have an understanding about this, what it feels like to be told what to do, then you should actually have a little bit more compassion for those people who didn't want to agree with the mandates for vaccinations and whatnot. Anyway,
compassion. Hashtag be kind.
There you go. Compassion.
Now I'm just having a look. So the CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Now don't forget that these guys are heavy duty progressives. Like they are brutally progressive. They shut, under Trudeau, they shut down the bank accounts of protesting citizens of Canada. I remember seeing the horse that ran over an old lady. They were brutal in how they shut things down. So here's the CBC. They also were very complicit in pushing Trudeau's messaging and narrative. And what they've said here is editorial independence is a bedrock principle for any credible news organization. It's the beating heart of what we do each day in the news division of Canada's national public broadcaster. And then they've got, we are beholden to no one. We report without fear or favor. We act only in the public interest. And then they go on and talk. And I just think you'd have to actually read some of CBC. Like, we think that RNZ is pretty strongly supportive of the government, and they are. They will they'll try to play a bit of a double game, but they do lean quite strongly over to the government. The CBC, the Canada's Broadcasting Corporation, they're even further. Really, they are even further over to that leftist agenda that does go on. So it's hilarious to see what's going on there. They've actually paused their account on Twitter. I'm sorry to laugh there, but I'm just seeing it again. Government funded media. I think it's hilarious. It's accurate. And it's hilarious. I've been called out. Finally, someone who's had more power than we do as a citizenry, as the normal people of New Zealand, Kiwis. Elon Musk, who's got more power than they do, he's been able to really embarrass them and show their own faces up in the clarity that only Twitter can currently. So, I'm sorry. It's good. It's quite humorous.
I think we should laugh when we can.
Yeah, true. Before they get the next. And by the way, so just to let you know, the Public Journalism Interest Fund is actually putting out its last pool, and there's a lot of money in that. Now, I've also come across that there's been a few $1 million more now being added to a different style of funding for the public. It's not Public Journalism Interest Fund. It's actually a different funding stream, but it's exactly the same. And so they've made a lot more money in there. I think it's $4 million, and that's for those media they deem worthy in order to facilitate more narrative giving. So in actual fact, the PGAIF is actually still ongoing after this last round. It'll still be ongoing. It was supposed to be wiped out. I think it was supposed to be wiped out a little bit before. It hasn't, and now a few $1 million has now been added to this other different revenue. I'll see if I can get the name of it, but that's the new one that they've now got. So it's, again, really extraordinary, really tragic what's going on, and we've got to know that the mainstream media is not for us. They're not there to really explain the news and report on the news. They're there to have a news report element, but overall there's this narrative where they'll go with whatever the current ideological allegiance aims towards. So as long as we know that, I think we'll be a lot safer anyway. So, what else has we got on? And I think that's we should actually bring up a powerful thing that's occurring in the Dutch election that has occurred. I think it's really fascinating, and especially considering the fact that I just haven't seen this being shown on the. I just haven't seen this being shown on the mainstream media, and that is, of course, that the farming party has now come out and blown away the two main parties. So in the Dutch election, the Netherlands, they've had a National and a Labour equivalent over there, very much a National and Labour equivalent. But just like National and Labour, there have been very little difference between them, and now the farmers, because they've been horrifically bad for farming and for the food production, it's extraordinary to see that government policies in the Western countries are trying to shut down their food production. It just makes no sense. So the Dutch provincial elections were held. That was on the 15th of March. It was on the 15th of last year. It was a landslide victory, and it was for the Farmer Citizen Movement. The Farmer Citizen Movement. A great name for a party, the Farmer Citizen Movement. And it's extraordinary. They rolled the national and labor equivalent. They rolled them, and so right now I think it's a bit of a mess at the moment because they don't really know what to do now because your national and labor equivalents are now getting rid of their leaders, their leadership, and they're just moving forward. So I'm not sure where to go with it, but it's extraordinary. It's quite amazing that they're doing it. And I'm really curious as to what they stand. I know that they stand for the farmers, and I know that they stand for the traditional values of the country. That's just as far as I know. So I don't know much more than that. But what are your guys' thoughts anyway in terms of the Farmer Citizen Party rolling the national and labor equivalent in the Netherlands? And what do you think that bodes for us here?
Would you like to go first now, or?
Oh, it's fine. You go.
Okay, I just wanted to say that when people look at what happened with Donald Trump and why he's so popular with the people, it's because he hit a nerve with the average person, with the average American citizen. This is what you call a populist movement that's taking place in the United States with Donald Trump, and it's actually something. Populist movements are things that are taking place all over the world now. But I would probably say that Donald Trump is actually someone who actually helped to jumpstart this whole populist movement. And it's because people are sick and tired of the same old, same old. It's like one party wins, then the other party loses, and then the other party gets in. And then, it's like that. So it's like back and forth between these two parties, Labor and National, right? And people are tired of that. People are tired of that in Netherlands. People are tired of the same old, same old. If Donald Trump didn't come and bring a whole new change to how things are done in the Republican Party, then, most likely whatever party he created would have probably won. So we've got another election coming up in 2024. Most likely Donald Trump is going to win. And he's the front runner right now in terms of.
So just a segue a little bit. Go on that tangent. Why do you think Trump's going to win? I hope he does.
Yeah, because
why do you think that?
The polling right now that they have in regards as to who's gonna win in the country, and in regards to who couldn't represent the Republican Party, which is the party that everyone's looking for because they're tired of the Democrats. He's way far and away ahead, like something like 26, 27 points ahead of the next guy, which is
who is that? Is that DeSantis?
DeSantis, yeah.
But I tell you what, though, I wish Trump would not be such a egg about it. I just wish he wouldn't be such an egg about it. He could be nicer, more graceful.
Yeah. Well, it's whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and however it plays out, if this works against him, then he's messed up. But if it works in his favor, then it'll be viewed as something genius.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But I guess I also think about the fact that the Americans actually voted for Biden. Yes, I'm aware of. I know how what you're thinking. I understand that. Yeah. But even if there was a little bit of mucking around, the fact is Biden got a lot of votes from swing voters, and the hardcore Democrats, just like the hardcore Labor, doesn't matter that they're brutal against brown people and black people. Doesn't matter that they are quite bad and very horrible for economy, and they're very horrific for poverty. That they increase poverty, they increase homelessness. They under the Democrats' watch, the cities there have pretty much rampant crime because, of course, in most of those Democrat cities, anything stolen under $1,000 does not get prosecuted. So they've got very crime-friendly policies as well. But then, why did they keep on voting for Biden and the Democrats? But
that's the whole thing. I don't believe that they voted for Biden. I think it's a stolen election, and hopefully when Trump wins, that they'll be able to have like some type of investigation, because just like what they're doing right now with Twitter, and we're all finding out all this stuff that's coming out, how they suppress information. I'm going to tell you right now, this is the biggest steal that they've ever done. And this is why I think we have to be careful about election integrity. That's probably the biggest thing, is because even if we have all of us all in the movement moving against the Labor Party and moving against all these other people, you got to watch who's in charge of counting the votes. Because the people who are in charge of counting the votes, you could get all the people voting in the right way, but whoever's counting the votes, they can mess things up, and they can bring in whoever they want because they've got all the power because no one's watching them. No one's watching them.
Yeah, you're right, and I think the election fraud that we've seen in less developed nations has been very well, or I think documented, if not well documented. And it seems silly to think that it couldn't actually happen in a place like the US, especially in regards to, I do like Dinesh D'Souza's
10,000 years.
10,000 Mules.
Yeah.
He made some very good points, and it was interesting that people didn't like it, even though they were very happy to use the software when it came to other things. So, I think his 10,000 Mules is a really good. Yeah. If you really want to check it out, the documentary is called 10,000 Mules, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he uses Dinesh D'Souza. He uses facts.
Yeah.
Very difficult to argue against that. People will argue points, but they can't actually argue against the main facts of what he's bringing out. They argue with the conclusions that come up with it, and they try to with some of the methodologies. But overall, it's pretty clean. It's a pretty clean documentary. So right.
And so, while we're on this topic, just to show how far these people can go. I know my sister wants to say something, but please give me this. Bear with me this one moment.
All good.
This has just come out in the news in America. Charlie Kirk has just reported on Twitter, as he says, breaking: 34 Chinese nationals have been charged with running an undeclared Chinese government police station in Manhattan's Chinatown.
A Chinese police station.
A Chinese police station. In other words, in fact, the article that I read said that there was a brick and mortar, just to let people understand that there's actually a building that they used, they occupied. This is another country coming and occupying a space, and actually, and they were terrorizing Chinese nationals. Because of if they were standing up against the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, if they were dissidents against them, then they were, and then they would go online. This is the other thing that they're getting against, is they would go online and they would manipulate a campaign against them online. I mean, this is what we see. This is what we're arguing right now. How mainstream media has done it to us. But this has actually been found out. So anyway, I just wanted to report that.
And that's actually, you're absolutely right. That's the Manchester police have actually released that information. It's
Manhattan.
Yeah, Fox. Yeah, Manchester have reported on it. The Fox News have reported on it. So it looks like it's DOJ, the Department of Justice, have actually engaged in it. So it's starting to break out as a really big one, actually. So they're having PM. I mean, oh my gosh! In terms of New Zealand, the equivalent. So just for you out there, our audience, just to let you know, the equivalent that we would have in New Zealand, where you've got the CCP or the Communist Party out there, in New Zealand, they're called the United Front. That's what they're referred to, the United Front. So when you do see some angles where some Chinese will be speaking, then they'll just immediately stop, and that's a lot of it's to do with the United Front. It's very well known. I can attest to speaking with multiple Chinese people that they do. When I've tried to speak to them, they will not speak to me over phone. They won't speak to me over any type of messenger. They won't even text on anything, whether it's WhatsApp, whatever. They will not text. They won't even text on Signal. So when I have had to have discussions with them about this sort of thing, I can't say how it is, but let's just say it's face-to-face, and it's in a very discreet style. So, and these are, by the way, these are not some young dudes who are just, ferocious about Hong Kong. Some of these people are significant earners in the corporate environment, but they, for whatever reason, feel that they wanted to at least speak about some things to me. So I can attest that the United Front is here in New Zealand and that there is a lot of fear within the Chinese community in New Zealand. Now, that's why many of them don't want to engage in anything publicly. They don't want to engage in anything publicly. They might give money here and there, but if they do, they'll give money to other quote-unquote sites. But it's very, very, very rare for Chinese in New Zealand to step out publicly and either facilitate or support or go forward for something, unless it's going to be one of the big parties. And the reason for that is because that's seen as safe. But make no mistake, there's a lot of fear in there. What are your thoughts there, Liao? What do you think there?
I want to go back
to we sort of went on a different topic, eh?
No, you did. I want to go back to the Dutch farmers.
Yeah.
And I actually think there's a lot of hope for New Zealand because our farmers are so important here. So I think if the Dutch can actually to win something like so significant, it's time for Labour and National to both go. We've had no opposition these past, 5 years, hardly a boo of opposition. So you've got this super party that both need to go, and so we need to bring these parties together and get over the 5%. I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible.
Sorry, Karen. Sorry.
And I was just going to hop over to the China stuff. We had Chinese police here in 2020.
That's right.
Here. Did any of them leave? Did any of them go back? Do we know any of this?
No, wait, were they Singaporean? I thought they were Singaporean.
No, they were from China.
They were Chinese. Okay.
Yeah. Chinese police, and it was mainstream media did the article, and so it was there for everyone to see. So I feel that they will be possibly in the future doing the same here in New Zealand. We hide so many things, and mainstream media hide so many things that if the Chinese nationalists here are getting harassed, who would know about it?
Good point.
There's so much hidden here that things that happen. Do you remember there was 2 Chinese men who had a petition, and they were driving down to Wellington to give it to hand it into Parliament. They both ended up in a car accident. Both died.
I do remember that. What was? Oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to. Okay, yeah, all right.
It's the truth. It happened, and we all just went, and then we went back to our own lives. But they were standing up. They've been standing up this whole time, and so now we're starting to see how they're creeping into everything that we do and say.
That's right.
And the face recognition, software from China. All of these things are
15-minute cities.
Going to become part of our lives, you see. So, you know what I mean? So we but that was such a shock to me. Yeah.
Two Chinese men killed in a crash on a highway near Tokoroa were travelling to Wellington to petition the government over concerns about the Chinese Communist Party, according to a close friend. Prominent figure in the New Zealand Chinese community who was travelling with them survived the crash but is in critical condition. Yeah.
That's far too dodgy for me. I'm sorry. I just.
Yeah.
I think everything's connected, man.
No, I don't know about everything, but okay, I think that's fair to, I think, be highly concerned about the fact that 2 Chinese activists who were delivering a petition.
The petition was even given. Do you know if any of that? I mean, nothing was ever heard of from it again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's a really good point.
So I just, I think it's closer than we think for Yahweh. Like you're saying that in China, in America. But if it's
Right.
already in America, then it's going to be here. If it's not
Yeah.
already here,
Don't be
and I
surprised if
think
they have a building already that they're
no,
using.
no, but see, this is the thing. In America, they found them out. Here,
Yes.
there's so much that is hidden that we might not ever find out until something drastic happens.
The survivor of the survivor of the car crash says that he has no memory of the crash.
Wow, wow. So it was done really well,
Yeah.
or he does have memory, but we're gonna leave that because you're still alive.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Mm.
anyway, sorry,
Oh
I had to
gosh.
bring that. I had to bring it.
Oh
I had to bring it because I just feel it in my spirit. There's just
yeah.
so many things that are not right here.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I mean, yeah, yeah, and we know that they're not against that sort of thing. We know that that they're not above that sort of engaging in that quite horrific sort of stuff. I mean, that's quite shocking. But you're absolutely right. Mm, yeah, the CCP has of course been very deadly silent on that area. Yeah, these people are so one of them, the Canterbury University professor, the person who has been had a lot of heat from the CCP. She said that these people are so important and brave. They stand up for the silent majority in the New Zealand Chinese community.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pain and far out. Yeah. So yeah. Oh gosh.
So that's
Mm,
why it's really important for us to, you know, be
mm,
involved
See,
in politics,
in my
Elliot.
posts on Facebook, whenever I come across something like this and I post it up, I always put that because I know how people are. They're going to be like, "Oh, okay, he's just being a conspiracy theorist." So then you just say, "Well, things that make you go, because it should make you think." These
yeah.
kind of things, even if whether is there a possible connection? You can probably say there's a possible connection, but
Mm,
just to be safe, I just put, things that make you go, hmm.
mm. Now, just to let you know, team, I've been looking at the farmer citizen party while we've been discussing. You can look up their site. I mean, to be honest, their site is it's in Dutch, okay, but of course it'll translate to English. However, you're going to have to probably do some checking on it. Just to let you know, it's Boer Burger Beer Wigging. Gosh, it's probably the worst. It's probably the worst accent for Dutch ever. But so there is It's really quite interesting. Their policies do seem to look a lot like the conservative parties that we've had out there, not the national, but the conservative parties, and also Democracy NZ currently, or at least the values of them. So I think there's a lot of good stuff in what they're sort of saying. I just can't believe it. The people of the Netherlands stood up and effectively turned aside from their two main color codes, their two main, the National Labour Party equivalents. The Netherlands people have stood up and said, "Sorry, both of you are useless," and then have gone for this farmer citizen party. I think it's absolutely wonderful. I really do. I think it's great.
I think
But,
we need more like that. We need
mm,
more people standing and things like what happened with Elon Musk. I want to ask you guys something. Is this okay? Do you know who Dale Shepherd is? Honest
name rings a
question.
bell.
For Yavo, do you know who Dale Shepherd is? He's a 52-year-old powerlifter, and
Oh,
he has identified himself as a woman for this
yep,
contest. And so in June, he's going to be weightlifting for the women.
yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like people are starting to actually think now. They're starting to think, okay, we've had so much of this left rubbish that has come
Mm,
out. Let's start standing up against it. So he's going to be weightlifting against the transgender athlete.
He's got to own. I've seen pictures of him. He's a massive guy. Even though there are bigger powerlifters than him, but for a woman's competition, he's going to destroy it, including the transgender males, because the transgender. So what do they call them? Trans women, who are the males with gender identity disorder, or at least they just want to be able to gain access to the female areas. I find it fascinating that they do seem to, those ones who are very mediocre in their current. So, for example, Gavin Hubbard, who went on to become Laurel Hubbard, Gavin Hubbard was he was a very mediocre powerlifter. Then he chose to transition to a woman, or whatever he says that he does. And now, or previously, he was able to take the spots of women from them in the Olympics, and he was able to break records. So you've got those elements. You've got Fallon Fox, and you've got Leah Thomas, and you've got the school track stars that they have. So, and the cyclists, who they've all destroyed records and become champions in the world. But I think it's absolutely disgraceful. So what this guy's doing, I think, is wonderful. Good on him.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Well, I was just going to say that, if anyone says that, they're not hurting anyone, that's a bunch of baloney. I mean, that's a bunch of BS. And you need to wake up, because the truth of the matter is that, that guy from the New Zealand that represented New Zealand, what's his name? Hubbard or whatever?
Dale Shepard.
No.
Well, no.
Right. Laurel Hubbard, or Gavin Hubbard.
So that guy beat out the Samoan girls from Samoa. He pushed the Samoan girl out of the gold medal, and made her take the silver. And then he took the Samoan girl who was supposed to be the silver medalist, and she became the bronze medalist. And then the one who was supposed to be a bronze, who was also Samoan, she didn't get a medal at all. So, I mean, this is in the South Pacific Games. And this is why I'm saying that, if anyone says that, we need to be compassionate, we need to be, no, we don't, They're messing everything up. Even the women who are trying to understand them, But I think it's time for people to just say enough is enough. That's my perspective.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I was going to say,
$5 billion worth of pushback. Lightyear.
Dylan, what's his name? Dylan Mulcahy or something like that. So that's a great story, that one in itself. That's really, honestly, so you had the very strongly woke head of marketing for Bud Light, and then she basically decided to bring in a trans woman, which is, again, that male element, Dylan Mulcahy, or whatever his name is. Yeah, and I've watched him when he was on The Price is Right, or one of those game shows, and he is absolutely jumping around all over the place, quite frenetic. I think what he is, he just really wants to excite, and a super Jim Carrey style of frenetic energy. And I think the thing about women is, I think he's just found that people paying attention to him, so he's just jumping on it, which is incredibly bad. But I've got no sympathy. I've got zero sympathy. If you were going to allow your head of marketing to engage in what she did, and what the head of marketing actually did, and set Dylan up to be the top dog, the male who's going to do it, what a stupid move. You deserve all of that failure. It's stupid. Honestly. It's like Gillette and their woke maleness, and then they took a massive hit, and now they've sort of turned back away from it. If you're gonna go woke, you're gonna go broke, and I think there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Stop messing with it. Stop shoving it down our throat. Stop shoving it down the throat of our children. Stop trying to push it and groom everyone into it. Stop trying to just shovel it down all over the place. Look, the bigotry and the hatred has already been seen. You've got already people are starting to be killed by trans activists and transgender people.
That's right.
You've got them being murdered. I reposted an element today from a transgender activist has just been found to have been engaged in child sex attacks. So these are happening, and for people to say, "Oh no, it's the Christian terrorists," there are no Christian terrorists. You can't find it there. The fact is, the hatred and bigotry, the heterophobia that we see in such brutal terms are actually coming from the trans activist community. So there is a pattern that is right there, and it probably is because of that mental health issues that are going on, very heavy mental health concerns. And there are some. But I do want to say, I always say trans activists. There are a lot of trans out there who want to leave children alone. They don't want to muck around with children. They don't want to be, they don't want the laws around the toilets to change. If they're passing it off, they're passing it off. But they don't want to engage in changing culture in terms of replacing it with something else. So trans activists, they are vicious. And of course, you've got your horrific, you're really, I believe, highly misogynistic, highly hateful, and highly violent, definitely encouraging violence from what I saw. Chanel Lal, who of course is a New Zealander, Young New Zealander of the Year award. It's basically Kiwi Bank have basically turned that award ceremony into nothing more than just a virtual. They've cheapened it. Everyone else who's got an award through the Kiwi Bank NZ of the Year award, it's basically a milk water pointless exercise in ideological alignment. That's all it is, and they've ruined it. They've ruined it for the ones who do deserve to be there. I think that's really sad.
Yeah, and if you look at it around the world, all of these places where they have the Women of the Year awards and all this kind of stuff, it's all being given to men. They're biological men, and women are what's wrong? They don't have any women, real women, biological women that can win the award. They got to give it away to these trans men or women, trans women. That's what they call them. But the thing that I wanted to say is that this reminds me that, once again, I'll tell you that this whole LGBT thing is starting to fall apart because the gays inside that LGBT community are getting tired of the transsexuals and their and what they're doing, the T. So now you have gays who are standing up and saying, and this is why I was saying this all along, that this whole LGBT thing is something is a fairly recent thing. We've always had gays, but the LGBT movement is something that's fairly new. Because I remember when the Samoan community in America, in Carson, actually because there was a shooting that took place in Compton, we did a big protest. And then when we went and did the protest, we had these gays come out and they wanted to be a part of our protest. And we're like, no, you can't be a part of our protest. And then they had the other guys who came out, they were called the anarchists. And so the anarchists today are the, what do you call those? Antifa? Antifa is actually, those are the anarchists, and then the LGBTQ are the gays. But the thing is, we told these guys, you got nothing to do with our protest. Our protest has to do with police brutality. Now, how are you going to add on the gays and the, just because we're doing a protest, you want to be a part of our protest? No, hell no. Don't be a part of our protest. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And that thing that you brought up about police brutality, I did have a thought, some sort of sad news, I think, which is, what's his name? George Floyd? Floyd's the man who killed him, the police officer, or at least the police officer who was a catalyst of killing him. He's just today, Derek Chauvin. His sentence has been upheld today in the US. And so they're not giving him any reprieve, anything lower. And I think that's actually really wrong. I do. I've seen the entire body cam. I've read and I've watched the facts being presented. I think it's absolutely wrong. It's not fair on Derek Chauvin. Yeah. Stupid move, no doubt. Didn't deserve to die. Did George Floyd deserve to die? No. But he had a huge amount of fentanyl.
Yeah.
And I think it was 2 other styles of drugs at the time. He was fighting the whole way. If he had just gone into the police car
Yes.
He was under arrest. He did use a counterfeit money to try to pass off. If he'd gotten into the car, he would be alive. He would be alive. He fought the whole way through, and then eventually it went down. Derek Chauvin should not have put his knee on his neck like that, but he was using a police maneuver. It was just done improperly, and the fentanyl in the George Floyd's system just horrifically bad in that area. But it's disgusting that they've actually upheld it. This is a win, not for justice. It is not. It is a win for injustice. I think that Derek Chauvin, and I very seldom say something like this, but Derek Chauvin is a political prisoner. He's there because of ideology, not justice. Justice is not what has played the part in him having his sentence upheld today. Yeah. What do you think there, Liao?
I think there's a lot of people in prison at the moment that shouldn't be in there. And so this is just part, I mean, the January 6th. Are they still in prison?
Yeah, they are.
They are.
What is going on here? We don't even justice is a joke in every country, especially in New Zealand. It's become a joke. So, do you have people end up having justice in their, take justice in their own hands? I just think this is just par for the course, and because he's well known and everything's out there, imagine all the people that haven't had a voice, haven't been able to speak out. Who, how many of them from January 6th are still in prison? Do we know what's happened to them? What's happened to their lawyers?
So that's still going on. There are groups who are getting, and that the shocking stuff is that some of them have been sent to. So the latest one, which was a couple of days ago, they've been sentenced to 36 months in prison and 36 months supervised release. And he's pled guilty to assaulting law officers with what they call a dangerous weapon. But what's going on there is quite shocking because, of course, in Jan 6, there's already a lot of footage going out there. Now, isn't it fascinating that Tucker Carlson has not been able to speak? That those shocking videos came out on Tucker Carlson. The shocking videos of what happened inside the White House, and then the very next day, nothing. That he's been silenced. That something massive would have happened for Tucker Carlson to not be able to talk that. And in the meantime, showing that Jan 6 was not this insurrection of the right wing or anything like that. Alongside that, you actually had other government buildings being totally taken over by trans activists and by Antifa. And so you had those absolutely shocking levels of takeover, brutal, smashing windows, smashing groups, throwing everything all over the place. Whereas a Jan 6 was there's memes out there which show it and saying insurrection so violent that everyone respected the velvet ropes. They all marched. They were all walking through. Just didn't touch. Didn't attack any pictures. They didn't tag anything.
So what they showed was very selective video that they showed. And another thing that they found out is through these investigations is that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, the FBI, they had actually had plants inside this group that was part of it. And then they were the ones who were being videotaped that was shown being really violent and that kind of thing, and they were leading people into and the police were also involved. It was all just part of a big conspiracy plot to try to make President Trump look really bad. But the thing that I wanted to say is that so this guy who's also taken Trump, it's interesting that you brought up January 6th with those protesters, is that the Congress, which is now taken over by the Republicans, they're having an investigation into the man from New York, the DA from New York, who is actually involved with the Trump case, taking Trump, And the thing that I was going to say is that they started this investigation and this is in the Capitol building in Congress. And all of a sudden, these people started coming in and they were protesting. They weren't allowed to go into where these guys were holding the investigations, but there was just a door that was separating them from and the people that were inside conducting the investigation are actually, are able to hear everything that these people are doing. So there's no real difference between the January 6th people and these people. This is really funny. When the right conservative groups go in and do something, then it becomes a crime. But when you have like left-leaning groups that like Antifa or Black Lives Matter or any of these other groups, even the LGBTQ community, when they do stuff, they get away with it. It's okay. And they want to make the same arguments that they don't agree with the conservatives regarding when they do things to conservatives. It's amazing.
Can I share something that has only just come out recently? And I'm not sure if you both realize this, but in the International Women's Day that came out on the same in celebration to the United Nations report, within the International Women's Day was a report calling for the decriminalization of all sexual activities, including between adults and children.
Yep. Section 18.
Did you realize? Did you know that was?
Yep. So that was a UN. It wasn't the UN itself, but it was a report that was pushed by the UN. So effectively same thing, and it's quite a horrific document all throughout, and they utilised the words that we are used to hearing from Jacinda Ardern: kindness, inclusive, protection, love, caring, all those sorts of words. But when you get into exactly what you're bringing up, which is those sections, I think it's section 18, which is the 18. It is 18, isn't it? Yeah. So section 18 is an absolutely horrific one, because it is, as you say, it's stated there as well. It's extraordinary to see that it is decriminalizing prostitution. Pedophilia.
But also drugs.
The drugs element.
The Helen Clark one, who wanted to push decriminalizing all drugs here in New Zealand. So it really is par for the course that this next one will be, underneath the International Women's Day, we have, love is love, because that is the thing that keeps coming up. But the minor, how do they give consent? This is where this is all heading. As parents, you have to protect your children. This is, we've been talking about this for quite a few years now.
We have, haven't we? And I tell you what, though, there is actually something which is pretty good, which is people are starting to finally wake up on it. I do. I think that people are starting to wake up. It's taken a lot, and I think you guys have been getting that word out there. Our team has been getting out there. We've been ridiculed for it. Don't care. We've been brought out, and now that people are starting to see that what we've been going on and on and on about is starting to happen in front of their eyes, they don't have the luxury of being able to turn away from it. And so I think Sean Plunkett, great to see that Sean Plunkett, I'm not a big fan of him, but Sean Plunkett himself was able to actually wake up to what's going on there. There are other people now. You know what? Where of course it's not being heard. It's not being heard in Parliament. Where is that? Where is that whole opposition party? Where is it? And I'll just do a quick read from the Section 18 itself, the 8 March principles. Moreover, sexual conduct involving persons below the domestically prescribed minimum age of consent to sex may be consensual, in fact, if not in law. In this context, the enforcement of criminal law should reflect the rights and capacity of the persons under 18 years of age to make decisions about engaging in consensual sexual conduct and their right to be heard in matters concerning them. Pursuant to in their evolving capacities and progressive autonomy, persons under 18 years of age should participate in decisions affecting them with due regard to their age, maturity, and best interests, and with specific attention to non-discrimination guarantees.
Wow.
A whole bunch of crap, basically showing that if a 50-year-old man has managed to get a 12-year-old girl to basically suck him off and yet still be attracted to him, then that'll be fine. It is disgusting.
That
it needs to be
opens
kept
up a
disgusting.
Pandora's box.
It does.
You know, I mean,
Well,
this is
speaking
why,
of Pandora's box, if this becomes legal, then the Epstein list will be invalid,
Yep.
isn't it? So I think this is what we're heading to, is that once it's made legal, then nobody's going to be charged with anything.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. That's right. Because why would you? Might as well just keep that list silent. No, everyone just shuts up and don't talk about that list. You know,
Surely there must be whistleblowers everywhere. Surely.
I think there'd be a lot of fear. Money buys a lot of fear, I suppose. But I want to also remind, and this is what I've been going on for years as well, is that the pedophilia is not the end game. It's not the end goal. The end goal still remains that the pedophilic aspect was only a late game goal. The end goal has always been the abolition of the family unit, the legislative deconstruction of the family unit, so that your children are, by legislation, not yours. You can look after them, but they're not yours. They are the state's, and that is the end goal. And that's not by me. That's actually by the activists themselves. Over the years, the activists have constantly called for an abolition of the family unit. Now they don't call it pedophilia, but generally activists will call it sexual. I think it's sexual autonomy over their own bodies. I think that's what they refer to it as.
Like that,
yeah, and so that's the one that they try to use the little children, to engage in. And if a 7-year-old decides that they are to be sexually active, then so be it. That's what they'll do. We need to maintain our disgust over it. We need to slam back on any filthy scumbag who thinks that such an ideology is a positive in the least.
And this is a reason why I just wanted to bring this up. This is a reason why it's important for us to be able to do it, our generation. And the reason why is because the people who are from the next generation, they're being flooded with this propaganda, and they're being taught it in the schools. So they actually believe that this is the way life is. This is the normal way that life is. They don't know what life is like before all of this propaganda. And so this is why when we were over there protesting, we were standing and they had the abortion thing, they were protesting Roe v. Wade. This is why when you look at the group of people who are in that group of people who marched in protest of Roe v. Wade, the decision to overturn it, they were all made up of college students. Why? Because these are kids who are being brought up in this thing, and that's why they want to get rid of history. So those of us who have lived this life before all of this started becoming like the norm, it's like the new norm. It's not the new norm. We can't accept this as being the new norm. If you accept it as the new norm, then guess what? You've given up on the way things actually should be. This is why it's important for us. Our generation needs to stand up and speak out, because no one else will do it. Everyone else has been brainwashed.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yes, I see Lynn. Yes, I'm not sure if I say I have his ear, but we're friends. I can say that we are friends. He would probably be diplomatic in trying to answer that, and we've got a good level of respect with each other. So I'm not. What I can tell you is that the National Party whips. So the whips basically command their people to vote in certain ways. So they'll allow them to vote according to their conscience, on the rare occasion. Sometimes a conscious vote is not a conscious vote, and it's actually whipped up as well, just not officially whipped up. Then you've got the other ones where basically you just have to do what you're told. The National Party is not a broad church. So they used to have this thing that they said, National is a broad church, and because of that, you carry your own views and your own opinions, and it's okay, not a problem. We're not going to be Labour, where Labour basically demands that you agree with everything, but you're allowed a little bit of disagreement if your people seem to be like that, like Jenny Salesa and Mangere. National used to be the church of a broad church, meaning that they could sort of carry it, but that's not really the case anymore. I don't know if that's a Peter Goodfellow legacy or if it's a CEO move by Mr. Luxon, but basically National Party just is not really an opposition. They sort of have to just be silent and vote the way that they're supposed to. Now, I've got the person I like and respect, as you sort of implied, that, yeah, I do. My favorite guy is Simon O'Connor, but I'm pretty sure that he won't be able to give me an answer. He won't be allowed to. And I accept that. I don't think it's right. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's right, and I think they need to be kicked out. I do. But I'm going to sort of put out there that that they won't speak out against it, because for them they would say, no, stick to the economy. That's what we know. Let's stay away from social issues. National Party have really stayed away from the culture war elements, and that got brought up in a discussion in an article by Thomas Kramer, and he showed clearly that National Party doesn't want to engage in the free speech discussion. They don't want to engage in that. What they want to engage in is what is very much the fiscal policy, so economics, and also the co-governance. They think the National Parties have obviously done a bit of checking, and they are wanting to fight against co-government or parts of co-governance, because don't forget, it was the National Party who brought it in the first place. That's what you've got. That's also why I can't even hold my nose. I would have, if I thought that they were going to be a little bit more, if I thought they were going to be a bit closer to conservatism, I'd actually I'd vote for National. And I know on this podcast, I know I got a bit of heat when there was the indicator that I might actually end up going to National. But then they just don't take a stance. Mr. Luxon does not take a stance. He wants to take down Easter trading laws, even though there's only like 3.5 of those days, yet he won't stand up for babies being ripped out of literally ripped to pieces. I don't understand. Where's the consistency?
Murder is murder.
I was thinking about the National Party that when Jacinda had her lowest point, National had an incredible opportunity to step into that space and go, we will show you how to lead this country. We will show you by our actions, look at the things that have failed. We will do this, we will do this, we will stand up for the rights of people. They had an incredible opportunity to go against, what was happening, where everybody has been so incredibly unhappy, and stand and just go, we're going to be opposition right now. They had such an incredible opportunity. And then now the latest polls is that they've gone down. They've gone for the slope down to nothingness, because he is just lukewarm.
Lukewarm. Yeah, lukewarm. Who is on fire is Nicola Willis. She's quite hot in what she's doing. She really is. And the fact is, she is definitely not a conservative. She is quite progressive, very social progressive. So she's all good for abortion. She's all good for the LGBTQIP plus going hard yakka at our children. She's all good for all that sort of stuff. It's just really shocking to see how they're sort of engaging with. They, to be fair, they're probably more like ACT than anything else. Yeah. Whatever goes. Whatever goes. There is no conservative party or any party where conservatives can put in. No, definitely not any Christian conservatives. I mean, there's none. There is none. And I think it's a really clear dynamic. I will also point out that National Party have had this real crappy. I don't know how they're choosing some of their people. And don't get me wrong, they're not necessarily bad people, but you got Jake Bazant, who ended up fraudulently pretending to be someone else and then going off at one of his ex-girlfriends, I think it was. You've got the latest guy who I think it was a recent joke. I like COVID-19 like I like my girls. 19, and I forgot what the other thing was. But what?
Spread apart or something.
Oh yeah, legs spread apart or something like that. He's like, what's the what? How are you choosing your people, bro? Honestly.
Well, if you don't have a strong leader, then a leader without a following is just taking a walk. And
but I think he is. Fair actually. He might be a good CEO.
Yes,
but a CEO does not a leader make.
He's very personable. Like you can talk to him. He will literally concentrate on you and give you whether it's 30 seconds, he will make you feel important, and he'll do that with everybody that he talks to. But then he'll completely forget who you are, and continue on. So he's got that personable thing, but he is not a leader. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's not.
Obama was personable.
Yeah, Obama was personable. Yep. No, you look at Obama, Macron, and Trudeau, and Ardern. They're all quite nice and personable and all that sort of buzz. Yeah.
And I was just going to say that the thing is that the mainstream media will prop up whoever they want. And they'll tear down, or they won't give any time to any person that they don't want to give time to. So, anyone that they suggest, I wouldn't go for any person like that. Yeah.
What about Chris Hipkins? What was that? So Andromeda's made Chris Hipkins. What's the part there?
I think we were just talking about leaders, and
Chris Hipkins is just not a good.
He could have gotten some tips from Jacinda. She did really well.
Yeah, that's right. She was good at PR.
She was good at PR. And what she did.
Yeah, that's right.
So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, she was that. That's fair.
Yeah.
We don't. You're absolutely right. We just don't have a leader. We don't have anyone who we can sort of,
And John Miller said, sorry, he was the one that said legs apart accidentally.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He did say that.
He said, I'm just spread your legs.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what the national candidate said.
I like COVID like I like my girls, 19.
Yuck. I mean, honestly, that was just. Why would you? You shouldn't do that anyway. Oh, that's it. I like my COVID like I like my woman. 19 and easy to spread.
Yeah.
I mean.
Is that the caliber of national candidates now?
Sorry. Let me correct that. I apologize. He didn't say that. He released a video that contained a joke of that. So that is different. All right. So I think that is important to note that is actually a little bit different. Still shouldn't have done it. It's quite yuck. But yeah, okay. No, that is different than him actually writing it. There is a difference there, and so that's fair. I think Parliament, maybe a couple of them should stay, but I think most of them are pointless. And no, I do not think ACT is the good ones. They are not. I heard tonight from someone who saw the ones in Napier that David Seymour was doing his usual, oh, hey, good to see you, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. Someone asked the question about mandates, just asked a question about mandates. And David Seymour then said, in the middle of this meeting, he said, well, there's always one lunatic, and that's you. And then he started to basically hoe into that person, and apparently that person just looked horribly embarrassed. The person involved was not disrespectful. He was not yelling or screaming. He did not anything like that. He simply asked a question about the mandates aspect. And then that's when David apparently had his face go blank, and then immediately just went into his because he's famous. He's real famous for being able to be mean to people, and usually people laugh because he's been mean to the right people in order to get them. But no, David Seymour is not going to be your friend. You are useful to him only as much. That's why I like conservatives. That's why I do like being a conservative. We don't have a choice. If you are our greatest enemy, we still feed you and clothe you, because that's what we do. We are predictable. We are there. It's why people make fun of Christians, because they can. We're not going to go blow them up. We're not going to go kill them. That's so. Definitely. Andromeda. Yes, I wish I could have been there. I do apologize. I was due to go to the Trevor Loudon meeting, and I wasn't able to in the end. I'm really sorry. I was really, really keen on that. But yeah.
Look, there's someone that's just popped on here that you know.
Oh, Martin Langford, he is on our podcast. Not the man is, but outside influence on Parliament. Absolutely right. But I think the time is, because you know what, and I was thinking about this in a way, and we've talked about this sometimes before. On the team that we're on, everything we warned about has come to pass. We warned about the fact that apartheid policies were going to be pushed hard and fast. And it happened. We warned that freedom of rights and freedom of speech was going to be cut down. It was. We warned about the sexualization of children was going to be pushed heavier. It was. The crime, the youth crime, the adult crime, the economic damaging, the quantum easing, the printing of money, the collection of debt. We warned about all of this. We warned about it all in 2018, 19, and 2020, and we got destroyed. And we ended up having seen everything that we told to everyone that we could came to pass in exactly the way that we said it was. But I think this year provides something, which is New Zealanders have suffered in pain. Their eyes have been awakened. And it's not by, we're trying our best to actually give them warning. It's not by that. It's by suffering mandates, suffering by not being able to see loved ones buried, not being able to say goodbye for the last time. It's by jobs being removed, by restrictions to their freedom of speech, by having police turn up on their doorstep and knock on the doors and say, what's going on? The Kiwis that we've had have been mandated out, or they've been coerced into vaccinations, or they've been told that they're going to have to shut up, and they're going to be suppressed, that they're going to be visited with things. And I think now that the New Zealanders are waking up because of the pain that they've had to endure. And with all due love and respect, just like when I work with my teenagers, when we've worked with teens, often we say, right, this is what's going to happen. And then we sit back and the teens say, nah, get stuffed. They go forward and then they suffer horribly because of the decisions that are made that we already know. We don't tease them when they come back to us. We just say, right, good, you ready? Let's go. And I think that's where a lot of the New Zealanders are at now. They've had to suffer because of their desires, and they're thinking, the lights are turned on, therefore everything's fine. A couple of rugby games and they forget about stuff. But I think this year that they've really had to waken up and see what's going on. So I think this year we could actually see a powerful change occur. That's where I'm at anyway.
Yeah.
I really believe that if we, for the past 3 years, we've watched all of what you've just said, and people have suffered. But this idea, and this happened down in Napier. I mean, you're there now. But some of the streets are just back to normal. Life is just normal. In other streets, it's absolute devastation. There's been suicides down there. And so we've become such a divided nation that, you can literally just carry on with your life not knowing anything that's happening around you unless you actually start to, really take on board what these changes are going to do to us in our lives in the next little while. So actually your vote this year, I mean, we can't even emphasize it enough about how critical it is to push back. We're going to have a look at all of this, the cashless society, all of these, the 15-minute cities, all of these conspiracy theories are coming to fruition, and everyone's like, wait, what's happening? What's happening? And we've been saying this for such a long time that it's become just another, oh, well, oh, okay, this has happened. Do you know what I mean? We keep bringing it up and we keep trying to say it, but at what point are people really going to change until, I guess, persecution comes? In so many different ways and layers, from heritage seeds, not being able to do any more composting, to not being able to have gardens anymore, not being able to grow your own food. You're going to have to get it all from our local councils. All of these things that are almost at our doorstep, and we're still just carrying on as if nothing is happening. It's just mind-blowing to me.
I think the provinces are there. I think the provinces are our Kiwis. The provinces, I think, are our Kiwis where they have realised what's been going on. I think it is the provinces. It's the cities, our environment, where we still, look, the lights come on and the day's still there, and some of us still, we collect things and we see it just day by day. And so I think that the cities are probably still needing, and by the time the cities feel it, it's always too late. So I think that it's the Kiwis that we have in our smaller townships and our provincial areas. I think they're the ones who can actually save us the most, because they've got more power in the political environment and they speak better than what we do. Many of the, Auckland. Think about Auckland, the rat race. Yeah, I'll tell you. I talked to heaps of Aucklanders who are just trying to get around. It's something I've mentioned before a few times, which is they wake up at. I wake up at 5:30, 5:45. I got to get out there. I got to get to work, get all that stuff. When I'm finished. I end up coming about 4:30. Get home. It's about 5 by that stage. Shower and all that sort of stuff. Be with the kids. It takes a lot of the city centres are not good places for being able to sit, relax, and then think about what's actually happening in our world. The provincial areas do have the time, and their roles can also allow for just enough slower pace that they think about the more important stuff than just the wage, the hourly paycheck. Because you got those sides, and you got the other sides of the dependent ones as well. So I think there is quite a few things that are going on. But as we get the word out, really, as we've been able to sometimes bang our head against the brick wall, there have been people who've been waking up. There have been people who've slowly getting that out there, and I think that's what helps me. Realize that, sometimes it feels like banging our head against the wall, but we do have people who are coming on board, and we do have people who have realized that of what we're saying. And some of them don't even know that we've said it. There's been quite a few people who are quite high who use our word. Remember that the NZ Herald on a couple of occasions has used some of the Daily Examiner articles. They don't want to, and they don't give us the credit for it, but those wordings come directly from our articles in there. So look, even those who are on the other side are hearing and reading what we are saying. If ever you want to have a little bit of a fun time, on our Twitter account, and I don't know whether you can do this, but on our Twitter, if you go and look at those who have subscribed to our Twitter page, you will see a lot of journalists in there. Now, they don't like us, but they want to keep an eye on us anyway. So it's quite crack up, quite hilarious anyway. But yeah. Oh, Stu Cameron heard a story from Lower North Island where council later played with the police regarding a white supremacist cell in a small pub because she did not like what was being discussed in the bar. Yeah, I've heard some of that stuff going on there anyway. But no, thank you for that, Stu. Oh, sorry, Stu. Stu also sent me a message earlier, and I do apologise. I was actually around Napier area at the time. So, but yes, I would. In response to his question. if he still has it, but it's all right. Yeah, they're spying on you. Yeah, I think it's not so much espionage spying, but yeah, definitely they look at us and they want to bring us down. There's the Daily Examiner. We've actually been able to keep our nose pretty clean, so we don't engage in some of the stuff. And look, full respect to our independent media colleagues, the Counterspin. Full respect to them, but sometimes some of what they say can be used against them as well. So I respect them. I like them. I hope they keep going strong. But sometimes, but we've been able to keep our nose clean. We do our best to make sure we've triple checked our facts. We haven't always been correct, and when we have been found incorrect, we correct it. So the team is there and going strong. And again, the team it's a voluntary team. We're all doing. We all work hard in what we're doing. But we come together. And why? Because the truth is a lot more important than a little bit of convenience and comfort for us. So we like doing it. Plus, helps that we're patriots.
Here's one.
Oh, Hens Powell. Interesting. Any prediction for the Vision Party? I'm assuming you mean. I'm assuming you mean the Destiny. Is that Destiny?
It sits under the Freedom Party,
Freedom
umbrella with
NNP. NNP and Hannah's. Now, who's the leader of that umbrella? Is it Hannah? Okay, right. So Hannah, I don't think they'll get anywhere. But I don't mean that disrespectfully. All right, if it was Labour, I'd be a bit disrespectful because they deserve it. But I'm not being disrespectful because I think that the Freedom Rights Coalition have done some wonderful things. I think that Tū Tangata, I think that Man Up and Legacy, they've done wonderful things. Tū Tangata protected the Albert Park speeches. They protected the women and the children. I was there. I saw it. We took live footage of it. So no one can say anything else outside of that. If you watch that footage, you see them protecting women and children, and they do. The children were actually yelled at, screamed at with disgusting insults and lies, with swear words, with also blasphemies. The children, far out by the transactivists. Politically, I don't think they're going to get anywhere. Sorry.
I didn't see them at Albert Park. Were they there or they're down at Queen Street?
Sorry, I apologise. You're absolutely right. It was Aotea Square. Sorry. Went from Albert Street, then went down to Aotea Square hunting for more. And don't forget, it was because of that dude, that male who was on top of the ship container who was haranguing them. He was the one who shouted, "Hey, there's more, what do they call them, transphobes down at Aotea Square. Go for it, egging them on, inciting them to more hatred and what I would say is violent activity, which is exactly what happened. But of course, the Tū Tangata, they were too scared of those guys overall. And then when they did try to push it, they got pushed back. So good on them. In terms of politically, no, I don't think they're going to get anywhere at all. I think that Hannah, she may be a good grandmother. She may be a good spiritual mother to many people, but I don't think she has the charisma that's required to allow people to really feel okay about joining in. Brian does have charisma, but I think he has too much baggage. Not necessarily his fault, by the way, but some of it is, some of it isn't. But he's got too much baggage for your average New Zealander to engage in that regard. So I don't think it's going to get anywhere. No offense, but that's what I think. What do you think, Fueva? Vision Party, Hannah Tamaki, and what do you think? Do you think they've got a chance or not?
I think everyone has a chance. I mean, it's not fair to say that no one has a chance. That there is anyone that doesn't have a chance. Everyone has a chance. In regards to whether or not I believe that they'd actually be able to stand, the odds are really against them. The odds of that taking place. The reason why I would say that is because I like what you said, because you call it baggage. And in the States we would say it's a jacket. there's a unfortunately, the Tamakis have gotten a reputation, or they've got a jacket that they have. So anything that they are connected to, unfortunately, is has got that kind of negative aspect to it, and that's not fair to them, because the truth of the matter is they're very good people, and like you mentioned, they do a lot of good things. Tu Tangata is just one thing that they do. But what I would say is that it's very unfair that they're treated the way that they are, because in this country, we've already found out, when we talk about how people are mistreated, how the mainstream media treats certain people. Well, they've done a number on this man way for years now, and so now whenever anyone talks about it, they bring all of those things up, those memories, those images, or whatever you want to call it. But the truth is, the man he's gone to jail because he's spoken out on behalf of free speech.
No, absolutely. But politics is more brutal than just feels. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say though, the last polls that we had showed now I think NZF had 2.4. I think Democracy Z had 1.6. NC had 1.7. So you start adding those up. That's definitely 5% just based off those polls alone. I mean, do you join up or not? And egos. Everyone who's in politics has an ego. I'm not being negative, not in a negative way, but there is an ego there. I wonder do you think we should be trying to find a parliament? I don't trust Winston. I just don't trust him. He's proven himself untrustworthy multiple times. Yet there are still thousands out there who trust him. I don't know why, but so there's. And amongst that last poll, there was also still a big collection of people who are undecided. Like I said, I think this year actually is one where New Zealanders are awake a bit more. I think the Democracy NZ guys, I actually think they have probably the best chance of breaking through, because I think that the freedom element is still strongly open out there. I think it depends on who Matt gets as candidates. I think Martin Langford, he's a strong guy, dentist in Napier. You've got Matt Shelton, powerful candidate to have, very powerful candidate to have. Matt Shelton, doctor for decades, gunning hard. You've got Kristen Murfitt, a lawyer who's led the charge in going against the government's mandates, which were already found to be illegal. Unlawful. So some powerful people in there. My understanding is, I've got some sneaky thoughts about I've heard some things about who might be coming up, and I think it'd be great to hear other candidates. But I think, and Matt himself, charismatic, strong, sticks to his guns, and I tell you what, he left the National Party. He could have just sold out and taken the easy option. He really could have. Because it's the color coding. Whether you go for Labour or National doesn't matter. You'd be assured a bit of a easy path into taxpayer funds money. But Matt decided not to. He decided to take a stand, and he did. Yeah, it's pretty clear. It's a pretty clear action, as far as I'm concerned.
Can I ask your opinion on this matter? What do you feel about New Conservative now? Do you have an opinion?
I like them.
Then I'll ask I
like guys. I like people. I like some people in there. I think my own experiences are that I think for myself, I respect them, but they left the actions that were taken by some elements in there. There was no real corruption in there, but some of the decision making that they had showed me why the whole idea about Christians, really Christians choking and stuff like that, maybe the churches, as they have run away from society and hidden themselves into their buildings of wood and stone, maybe that was a similar thing of what we experienced with NC. The policies of New Conservative in 2020 or between 2018, 2019, and 2020 were solid as a rock, and you can defend them, and they were great. And they also allowed us, because we were warning about all of this stuff now. Then, all right, so that's objective. That's objective fact. That's historical. That is historical. But I think I'm just not. It's not something I really want to sort of go back to. Maybe there are some pains that I have, I guess, involved in that. I learned a lot. I think that part was really good, but it did a bit of damage. Ain't gonna lie, did a little bit of damage there. I'm not like burnt over it, but I don't think I'd. I think they should. I think
a lot of people want to ask you that question. I really do. But Leao,
I think you're probably right.
I've been scarred from that experience, but I do want to say something, and I'm going to say it in front of you two, obviously, that I have learned so much from you both. Elliot, especially, just learning how to actually use my voice. And like I said, so Norman passed away last week. And I said, through the horrific stuff that went through the 2020 elections, I found my people. And I found my people, and I found who was willing to stand no matter what. And so, I think about all these parties, and I think about how big their egos are and how they won't negotiate with each other. And, it keeps coming back to the verse, around how unity commands a blessing.
Yes.
And we continue to fight because it's good to have ego when you're actually leading, because you need to have some sort of like tenacity and, real core leadership. But if it's for the people, you would think so differently, and not just for you. And I think about Winston, and I think Winston first is what his party should have been called, because, that's all it comes back to, is what's best for him. He didn't even listen to the people in 2020. He did not listen to them. He actually went with Labour, and so I must say that my voice has become louder and stronger, and since journeying with you both, and just been this past 3 years. And I just thank God, whatever you need to use me for now. When I first started the show, and I accidentally became part of this show, I was like, I didn't even know what to say. I have nothing intelligent to say, or, that was how little I felt about, I wanted to stand, but I was so glad I didn't have to, like, debate or anything, because I'm like, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. Now, this has become so strong about our convictions and what we stand on, that I am such a different person now, even from the whole Mana Moana days, of leadership and being cancelled, to who I am now. I just want to really say thank you for pushing my buttons, making me angry, because I had this thing in my head all the time that he who angers you controls you. So I never used to let people make me angry. I said, no, I'm not going to. But then when you were like, you would push my buttons, Elliot, like you would push them to the point where I actually started being angry. And it's a good thing. It's good to be angry. Like we've become so docile and just so she'll be right, mate. And in New Zealand, that we see all the most brutal abortion bill passed and continue our lives. We need to be angry. Right. And so I have learned just so much, and maybe I'll stand this year, maybe I won't. It's just something up between that I need to bring before God, and I want to do it in wisdom. I want to stand, but my voice is different. I will go to bat, whatever it takes to stand for righteousness. But
well said. Well said.
Mahalo.
Hello. Oh my gosh, we've been going for a while.
Yeah.
I just had to look at the time that we've got there.
Oh, look,
What?
I just have to put these up. Okay, just so you
Oh,
guys know.
wow,
Yeah, beautifully
beautifully.
said, Leo.
Hey,
Oh, no,
oh,
I'm
very
putting up
good.
all the comments. Shush.
Hey, let's talk to Winston. Ask what his position is now. I mean, he'll just say the same thing. He'll say
He'll
good
say what
stuff.
you want to hear, okay?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it'll be good. It's basically him and David, because David, don't forget, David is a libertarian, so that means that nothing is off the table. He can change as he wills, and it's absolutely fine. Moral relativism is how they sort of operate. Winston was supposed to be different, but he wasn't. He was supposed to be different.
He
Yeah,
was.
I mean, Peter
yeah,
Dunn was
yeah.
supposed
He
to be
does, and you're right.
all of
Yeah,
these
and it
people
is.
were supposed to be different.
Yeah, that's right. Well, was Winston, he started really well in his career. He got the gold card. Awesome. He went to the wine box. Yeah, awesome. So they were really good. He was really good for a while, but I think in the last election, he just 2017 when he chose Jacinda, even that was quite disgusting. You gotta be aware. He wasn't playing the game. He wasn't telling people whatever. That whole 2017 when he chose Jacinda, it was done in a really foul way. It was done in a very foul way, because 2017 came along, and what happened? Well, he went fishing. He went off somewhere. Then he came back, and then remember when he announced it? He announced it as if he was calling out the last lotto ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is disrespectful to the people of New Zealand. That's disrespectful. They should never have. Winston should never have done this stupid announcement in front of you. And I choose. Should never have been there.
Yeah.
They should have been behind closed
Just done it
doors,
quietly.
done it
not-
quietly,
Yeah.
and come out together as one to all of the waiting media, already beside each other, and had decorum. They should have had decorum,
That's right.
a basic civility, and a minimum level. You're not supposed to be a bloody reality TV show. It's not what it's for. Sorry, sorry.
Oh, yeah, but then Jacinda did that for the next 3 years.
Well, she did.
reality.
She did.
Reality show.
She was. She is New Zealand's worst prime minister in the history of New Zealand. Muldoon's got nothing on her. I know Muldoon keeps coming up. Nah, he doesn't. Sure, he brought out some socialist policies. He got drunk and called a snap election. He did some other things, but he's got nothing on the shockingly disgraceful and disgusting, divisive. No other leader in New Zealand history has ever managed to divide Kiwis in their own family the way that Jacinda has.
I think
No
she's
one
pure
has.
evil.
Her actions were shockingly evil. So it was really, really bad.
Take that.
So it was really, really bad. Like just the worst ever. So that's what my thoughts are anyway. But
so here's my last question I have.
Okay.
We've been doing this for 3 years, right? About 3 years. Are we gonna celebrate the fact that we've been doing this for 3 years? I mean, the truth of the matter is we've been out there ringing the bell and getting people to, and it's funny because we keep asking the same questions over and over again. Like I just thought about it the other day when you asked me that question. What are your thoughts about this? It's like, man, I've been saying the same thing for 3 years. You've been saying the same thing for 3 years. Now, people who've been watching us, they would be able to tell that we're pretty much consistent with the messages that we've been giving out. So, like when you talk about we were trying to tell people back in 2018, 2019, 2020 what to expect, what was going to happen. Yeah, that's true. And we haven't changed. And now all of a sudden it's caught up to us. So I know that you're saying that people this year people are waking up. Well, that's a new one because we've always said that we've got a bunch of sheep out there who are being led to the slaughter, and I think hopefully they will wake up. This is an opportunity. We've been saying this stuff for 3 years, so hey.
Well, you know what? It's our Pacifica people who still need to be. But I have to say, there's a lot more Pacifica names turning up in the likes, the little comments throughout some of our stuff. There's more and more Pacifica names that are turning up, and I'm quite I'm very, very happy about that. I think we do definitely need to get back out there and have those discussions and those chats. Because we need to make sure that because currently our Pacifica people are being used as an abused wife, the whole abused wife syndrome, basically get cracked in the face by Labour and then they're told, hey, don't you walk away, you keep coming back here, you put that vote in the red box, huh? And so that's what they're doing, and that's what they expect from our people as well. So I think that as we get out there and we boldly do it as well. I think the time for being nicey nice is actually not. It's not that useful. I don't think it's that useful. Man is man, woman is a woman. If you don't like it, well, get stuffed. No offense to you, but you get stuffed. All right, we need to protect our children. We need to call it out for what it is. I think we need to move into it is pedophilic. You are grooming children. It is a state-funded grooming of children, and it's to encourage them to embrace highly sexualized ideas. So you effectively are grooming children. I think we need to call it out for that and be unafraid. So rather than sit back and be a bit more relaxed about it, then our people need to stand up for it, I think. So you say something, Leo?
Next week is Anzac Day, eh?
Yes,
we
that's
should,
right.
Maybe do something, because it's and maybe we'll go to the Dawn Parade or something.
Oh, definitely. Dawn Parade every year.
Yeah, we should take everyone with us.
I think that is a great idea. I think if you're out there, spread that word. Let's get to a Dawn Parade. I'll tell you what, even when I was a drug dealing scumbag, and when I was in Australia, I was drug dealing and I was a real scumbag. I really was. I smiled, laughed, but I hooked up with anything around and I was selling drugs and stupid. Even then, in the depths of my depravity, I still went to Anzac parades. Even then, and obviously it did have to do with my family connection into those, but definitely. But I think definitely let's see if we can work that out. Whether we go to different ones, and then whoever as close as you go to, or if we maybe all go to one particular one.
Well, why don't we say we go to one together, and then if people want to meet us afterwards, we could go to a cafe or something and get whoever is in Auckland come and meet us and let's have a chat.
I tell you what, let's put up a poll. Yeah. We're going to put up a post soon. The post will be, whereabouts. Now, obviously, we're in Auckland. We apologise for our people, but if you're outside of Auckland, man, make sure you get to one. These are our ancestors, our fathers, our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers. They died for us, and even those who came back were forever changed. And I've said something I've said before. One of my grandfathers, my Māori Palangi grandfather, came back with great stories and had fun. My Pacifica grandfather came back, burnt his uniform on the first night. He went through absolute hell, close quarter combat, Monte Cassino, North Africa, Crete. He went through all of those areas. My other one was Major of the Sappers, so he also had a pretty decent time. Two men, vastly different experiences, but both paid for us to be able to enjoy our today. The freedom aspect. So it's really important to go there. But we'll put out a poll. How about you guys? So you choose. We'll put out a poll. We'll put some options, and then you guys choose which one that we should be going to. How does that sound?
That'd be good.
Okay. Like
yeah.
All right. Sounds good, team. All right. Awesome. Very good. Well, in that case, shall we finish up there, team? Because it's been like nearly 2 hours.
Yes.
and our audience, man, you guys out in their audience, if you're still sitting there, man, hey. Props, man. Props.
Elliot,
hey, mama. All right. So I tell you what. Who did we do our prayer? Who needs to pray?
Leal started it.
Did you forget so soon?
Yeah.
I
think you
so soon. So soon.
Yes, you can come to our party. We'll let you know where we're going to be.
All right. Well, we'll give you guys the option to. Yeah, we'll give you the option as to choose where you would like us to be. Hey, and by the way, just for you out there, if you do have access to, for example, if you want us to come and speak All right, I mean, even if it's me, I'll make sure that I don't jabber on too long.
No, you better
I can
invite
go.
us because
I can
we
go
will.
by a time, but we have been. All three of us get invited to speak at different events. We do it because we are desperately keen to have New Zealand brought back to us, the New Zealand that we know.
That's
All
right.
right. So if you want us to speak at somewhere that you want, you go for it. You set it up. You let us know. We'll be there. We can generally talk about whatever. All three of us get asked at individual events. But if you do, you want just to talk to your church about certain things that are going on, and you can fact check what we say.
Don't invite me to your church.
Geez, okay. You Liao and her other one the other night. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I was being diplomatic. Liao was not. All right,
We're running out of time.
You're right. We're running out of time. Okay, so who's going to send us out?
You are.
Either me or you.
Oh, fine. Very good. All right. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this time. Thank you so much for the breath in our bodies. Thank you so
Yes,
much
Lord.
for giving us chances to be able to share our hearts and hopefully your heart with our people. Lord, we pray for freedom. We pray for the nation that we were born in or that we became a part of. Help us to fight hard for the future of our nation, of our children, of our children's children. We pray for legacy. We pray that even if we do not see the benefits of what we fight for, that those freedoms and benefits come from what we plant into the world. So, Lord, thank you for every single day you've given us to fight. Thank you so much for every single day you've given us to speak together and to help each other raise up in your name. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Ka kite ano.
Ka kite.